Hey everybody, Joe Warmbro with St. Louis Lifestyles. Just to tell you, I'm a realtor by day with Garcia Properties in St. Louis. I love to help people buy, sell, and invest in St. Louis real estate, but my passion is talking to inspiring people, and I wanted to share this with you today. I'm in the Hill neighborhood of St. Louis, Missouri. I'm with Joe DeGregorio and Sal Martorelli, and these guys, they're a trip. You're going to get the... You see what I mean? I'm sure they'll
take you on a trip.
So we're already there.
We're going to take you on a one-way trip with a concrete barrel.
A minute into it. Okay. So you have a company called Neighborhood Tours.
Yes.
And we did a Facebook post, a little 2-minute, 3-minute thing on that. But I wanted to talk to you more about fascinating story. The Hill's so cool. How did you meet each other? Let's start.
Oh, yeah. I just got out of the seminary, went to DuBourg High School, and Sam was already at DuBourg High School, the Catholic high school down in South St. Louis there. And being Italian, Sicilian descent, we got to know each other. He was a cool guy on campus. He was the best dancer in the school. Okay, and we met at classes and then a little bit afterwards. We never double dated though.
No, we took out same girls, but never doubled with them.
No, he dated some my cousins and wants to date my sisters, and so I wouldn't have the same girls. No way.
Right.
You know, and he got me kicked out of a retreat one time. We're playing poker on the table. And we had all kinds of money, and I think
that's a sanctioned thing at the retreat then.
No, it wasn't.
It's a Catholic thing,
Well, yeah.
but not a retreat thing.
Yeah, it wasn't on the.
But anyway, so
brochure.
we got to, and then I was gone for many years doing my bit as a federal agent, and Sam was doing his bit as
Well, my mom and dad owned a grocery store back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, right off of Regal and Filer. So Joe was on the hill, I was on the edge of the hill. And then I went off to college and then became a school teacher for 42 years.
Right. So we hooked up basically once again within the last 10, 12 years, I think. You know, we love to dance. We love to have fun. And when I got sick, I said, I'm going to need a partner to help me with the tours. Because I started the tours about 14 years ago. And I got sick about 2 years ago. It was touch and go for a while. So I said, I need some help. So I thought of Sam as the ideal business partner.
Yeah.
As such.
Well, he told me a story at lunch that he didn't have any idea you were going to be sick, and you got sick, and then it was like you called him from the hospital bed or something?
I did. I called him from the hospital. Sam, can you help me?
5 days earlier, he was at my birthday party dancing up a storm at Filoni's.
Yeah.
5 days later, Sam, I'm in the hospital. What is wrong?
Yeah. So that's when I decided I need a partner and one that can do, be as crazy as I am. And we were like peas in a pod. So anyway, he started about almost 3 years ago now. I've been doing it for 14 years, and we have a blast.
Before that, you said your dad was the mail carrier for the Hill.
Yes, his nickname was Il Postine, which is Northern Italian dialect for the mailman, the mailman.
And he was it.
Yeah,
he was in everybody.
Yeah, he did it.
And he, when he retired in '79, people asked him from outside the Hill, asked him questions about the Hill. He thought, let me start some tours. So he did the tours of the Hill for something like 25 years. Then when he kind of retired from that, I took over in 2005.
Wow, amazing. And so you were telling me earlier, he had a lot of, it was a walking tour then, and you didn't cover a lot of ground because you got to walk, but he knew every house by house of stories.
Oh, yeah.
So now you're dealing with tour groups and bus groups and all kinds, and so you get the whole Hill.
Church groups are big for us. We do a lot of church groups and school groups.
But the history, you've got your dad's history, and you grew up here too. I mean, that's what people want, the flair of it, the culture.
Yeah, the unique thing about our tour for this neighborhood is that we know all the inside stories of during the Prohibition years, or some stuff about Yogi Berra and Joe Garagiola that typical tour guides would not know, or things you would not read in a book, for example. And I think that makes our tours more authentic, if you will, and more interesting. And then we tell some pretty funny stories about what happened, on the Hill during the Great Depression, believe it or not, or the Prohibition years, and about Yogi Berra.
So why is that? I remember we took a tour with Garcia Properties. Brokerage came out with all of his agents. We had lunch and everything. And I remember you saying that the Hills survived continuity. What was it? I mean, a lot of neighborhoods around, there's a presence, but not a strong presence.
Three things. The people live here, the neighborhood, number one. The society, the Hill Association, that group. And the third thing, the hub of the community, St. Ambrose Church.
Church. Yep.
That's the glue that kept it all together.
Right, and that's part of it. And so that gathered into pride of who we were, come from, where we came from, who we are, and where we're going.
So are there times when everybody comes back, church events or?
We're situated, we're filming this in the Hill Neighborhood Center run by Lynn Marie Alexander. And it's archetypical of what the neighborhood's all about, because this place is loaded with history and memories and articles and pictures. And it's like I said, it's something who we are, what we continue to strive to be, people who want to remember our past.
And in the age we're living in, right? Internet, 2019, right? It's all fast now, new.
Right.
Hey, there's a lot of history how did we get here? Why? And people are still around to tell the stories.
Oh, people don't know the story. Like you were asking, what has kept us together? The Hill for 52 square blocks. Okay, yes, one story when they built Highway 44, and they came through. That actually cut the hill. North of 44 is the hill.
So, but that was a lot of discussions around the dinner table, right?
Oh, well, they couldn't get homeowners insurance because EMS and police, and they couldn't get over. They had to go around. So there was a petition. We want a bridge. So $50,000 was raised by this community. When the transportation said no, they raised $50,000, went back to them.
Down payment, so here. And the Secretary of Transportation at the time, in the 70s, was Volpe, not related to Volpe Salami.
Okay.
He said, it was a political media firestorm at the time, all right? He said, you keep your money, you're going to have your bridge. And it was written up in Time magazine, a full page.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, so
we
just
got
a little
bridges.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit of insight. Now, our typical Hill tour starts out with a little taste treat, a little bread from one of the bakeries, a little story of the beginnings of the Hill. For example, this Hill neighborhood, Italian neighborhood, is not your typical. We have more northern Italians here from the region of Lombardy than southern Italians, which is typical in other places like Chicago, Philadelphia, New Jersey, etc. This is different. They came for the clay mines, the coal mines, and everything. So we talk about that. And then Sicilians came later, and so the ratio is about 2/3 Lombards, 1/3 Sicilians. And we did not get along. And we talk about those differences.
Did
Tremendous.
everybody go to church? Same church?
No.
Same church.
Well,
there was a couple of
downtown was where the Sicilians, Southern's Italians. It was Our Lady of Christians of Help. That was the pastor. Pastor was down there at that church. Southern Italians, Northern Italians, and we're not talking, in the beginning hundreds, thousands. We're talking 30, 40. And so St. Aloysius Gonzaga was on the hill here. Well, when the Italians, these Northern Italians worship, they went there and they worshipped in the basement. And then they said, priests from down south, we got to get you your own. And that's when they started St. Ambrose.
So that's a northern Italian.
Well,
St. Ambrose,
originally-
the facade of the church, the building of the church is Lombard in its origins.
Yes.
The statues of saints are kind of balanced with
It's
Sicilian
going this
saints,
way. That's
Sicilian saints, and Northern Italian saints. So we had to achieve a balance, and eventually we achieved peace between the Northern Italians and Southern Italians right here in this neighborhood. A true picture
you
of
guys
the
were
American
growing
way.
up.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Before we grew up, it became that way. So what else we do? We start out the tour with Mama Toscano's homemade ravioli. And it's the only place in America left where they make homemade ravioli as their primary product. Okay? Then we move on typically to Yogi Berra's house and Joe Garagiola, both Hall of Famers who lived right across the street from each other.
Did you say Joe Buck? Yeah.
Jack Buck.
Jack
Buck lived on the same street for 5 years in the 1950s.
With those guys.
So we gave him a Buckaroo kind of Italian name, So he loved it there. He loved it with his family. So after that, we go to the Italian-American Bochy Club, which is a private, indoor, beautiful club. They hosted in 2018 the national tournament there and the first ever international tournament. And Sam, who's a good Bochy player, gives lessons when he brings tour groups there.
free.
Wrong. Anyway, we also give a donation to the Bochy Club there, since it's a private club, for allowing us to come in.
We were all honorary members with you that day.
Oh, yes, you were. Yes, you were. And it's a great sport that's being picked up more and more around the country. You see it at retirement centers a lot.
Well, you said that there's youth leagues now here.
Yes, we have high school leagues, which started out about 7, 8 years ago with 3 high schools. Now they have 9 high schools in the league. Starts about 3:30 in the afternoon after
Over
school.
400 members.
Yeah, there's 400 members in the club. And then
you said there was another, just about the history, there's another lunch group with former Ruggieri busboys and waiters and all that.
Joe got me involved. He said, you got to come to lunch with me to go with these Italian men. They were former busboys or waiters from Ruggieri's, and they meet every third Thursday for dinner. We're called Romeos, acronym for Retired Old Men Eating Out.
Yeah.
Which I went to Florida, was down in Florida, and was invited out with this Italian guys on a Saturday, and I took a picture. I said, "This is like my Romeos back at home," and they knew what Romeos meant.
Aha, very good.
It was
Very good.
unbelievable.
Now, he mentioned Ruggieri's. So during our tour, we talk about the many restaurants and delis and stores on the hill. We cover, most of them, and give a little history and what kind of food they specialize in, the Italian restaurants, for example. And Ruggieri's, no longer in business, but was the first premier, let's call it 4-star restaurant in the neighborhood. Started out in 1933 as a little tavern/restaurant and built itself up until like 1956, when it was the 16th best restaurant in the country. And all the sports stars who came to St. Louis in the 50s and others and celebrities would go there. They had to go there.
So this lunch club with the Romeos, those stories got to be great, right? They just trade all these stories back and forth with the celebrities.
Well, stories from when you were a kid and the things you got away with.
And they
Well,
talk about his papa, Roland, his father.
Mailman.
And he worked there. I worked at Ruggieri's for a summer as a waiter. It was the place to go.
You guys probably take this for granted that this is what you do and how it is. This is so
Every
far
Sunday.
in
Well,
your neighborhoods.
we did growing up. We did grow
Yeah.
like this is like normal. And then we moved on to other things, went away to college, went away to the military, came back and go, this is not normal. This is not your typical neighborhood.
You taught school there.
Yeah, I taught school at MICDS, and that's where I was. You mentioned Jack Buck or Joe. Joe was my advisor.
Really?
I taught him math. But you were talking
So
about.
he knows how to say first downs and how many yards to first down, right?
Anyway, you were talking about the neighborhood and all that, and our growing up. My grandma and grandpa lived on Ivanhoe and Arsenal, 2-story all brick home. Every Sunday, go over grandmas and grandpas for dinner, for lunch or dinner.
You better be there.
Oh
yeah.
All the cousins came.
Oh, yeah.
And grandpa, you talk about prohibition. He made the wine downstairs. Grandma, she make the pasta, and we sit down. Grandpa got served first. Everybody got a little wine, and then when it was all finished, it was a shotgun house, so we were in the kitchen. We moved to the living room, and when one cousin, he played the accordion, we all danced. And my dad took movies of that, and I still have all those movies of us
So-
Kind of
doing
work
that.
this way. You'd start there eating, you dance, and if you had too much wine, you're out the back.
That's right.
That's right. You get sick and
No, the bedroom's the next one.
right. But multiply our experiences times 1,000. Of the families that lived here.
Well, people
Multiply
watching
that,
this
and that's what
Sal
we
Allen,
talk
man,
about.
they're gonna, bring back memories.
And we
right?
talk about that. We talk about that during our tour, and some of the other things we do. Of course, we visit St. Ambrose Church, give the history of the church. We have a piano concert that's available as an option for the tour as well.
So did you ever think it would turn into this cultural thing where people from around the world come to see this?
We have in the last few years. We have because
We took it for granted growing up.
we did.
You lived here. I lived here. Joe lived here, and it was just the hill. Now, growing up though, where do you live? Oh, over here at Dago Hill.
Exactly. My first experience in the seminary with outside students in the seminary.
Yeah.
Oh, you're from the hill? What are you, a dirty wop or a dirty dago? I go, What
no.
the heck's this all about? Because we were isolated here.
Yeah.
We
Isolated.
can't say any of that today. In today's
We just
2019.
did.
You can't.
We just did.
It didn't happen. Didn't happen. Go ahead, keep talking about it.
No, but so it became relevant to us when we started going to schools outside of our neighborhood.
Yeah.
That there is another world. There are other
Right.
ethnic neighborhoods out there.
Right.
Other ethnic neighborhoods that had similar experiences, but they're gone now.
Yeah.
And
That
what
was it.
remains? What remains?
That's it.
The hill.
The
There
hill,
had to be something.
because earlier in the hill years, everything was here, right here, because they go outside of the boundaries here. There was prejudice.
Yes.
Oh my God, the prejudice from the Germans and Irish.
Kids and stuff, we don't want them exposed to that.
And so they had everything here: the restaurants, the salons, and funeral homes, and bakeries, and
You were born here, you
everything.
died here.
Exactly.
Exactly. That's exactly.
I couldn't, when I looked for my house 20 some odd years, I couldn't find a house. You had by word of mouth.
Yes.
And I just so happened to live right across the street from St. Ambrose Church, the alley.
Now, Mr. Garcia Property, what does he mean by word of mouth? You would go to the parish priest to see if there are any homes available, and then he would dole them out for you.
And Father
Figure that one
Bomarito,
out.
Highly not good now.
no.
It's
And,
called redlining.
Yeah, it's called. It's not
Redlining,
good. Not
right?
good.
and Father Bomarito came across and got, across the alley. Sam, you looking for a house? Yeah, Father. He says, I know a house. It's on Elizabeth. Road. You go
That's
to
how it
talk to. You go over there. It turns out I go down there. I go to the basement. I see this gentleman's jackets, and it has a C on it. Meant Cadasco. That's Country Day School. That's where I said.
Yeah.
You go into Cadasco? He says, I graduated. I said, I still teach there. He said, I came in freshman year, but I got a brother that goes there. I said, David? Oh my God. I said, I taught your brother. Your father's Dr. Montani. Immediately, just like
And you
that.
got the house.
Oh, yeah.
Now they
With
call
no
it-
real, I'm sorry, no
When I
real
got
estate,
married-
no
when I
real
got married
estate.
in '73 at St. Ambrose, of course. I was baptized there, confirmed there, married there. I'll be buried there. Okay. Father Polizzi, who was a stalwart of this neighborhood, revived it in the 50s and 60s. He said, Joe, what do you want to live on the hill? I got a couple houses. He goes, my new wife and I, who's not Italian, want to live in the suburbs. And the look on his,
Of the
in,
hill?
yeah, in Italian you call it the malocchio, the evil eye. And he gave me what? You don't want to live on the, oh man, I had to just practically run away from him.
Yeah, yeah.
The joke about the hill is, if you don't know why you're here, ask somebody, they know.
Well, instead of real estate, the old days would be the father fix it all up for you. Now it's called credit checks and pre-approval letters.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Gentler back then.
Yes, it is. It is.
how
So
true.
we do, our tour typically includes, besides talking about the various historical aspects, lunch. Typically lunch at one of the many hill restaurants. And there are many. And there are many that have different varieties of Italian food.
So when you ask, what's your favorite restaurant?
Yeah,
Well, it depends what you want.
Yeah, you want expensive? You want
risotto?
You want to slop it down? You want to
zucchini?
slop it down?
You
You
want
know?
northern? You want southern?
Yeah, we talked earlier. There's northern, southern, central.
Cuisine.
Yeah, Lorenzo's, for example, central, Roman style, a lot of rice dishes, and a little bit north as well. Ragazzi's, John Goodman's favorite place because you just slop it down. It's great tasting, good old fashioned. You get a pile of this and a pile of that, and that's Ragazzi's. You go to Dominic's, Tony Bennett's favorite place. All right, 4-star, high quality
Yes,
Italian
yes.
restaurant. So
It's all Italian food.
and many of the others are family style, but different recipes, little different takes on Italian regional cooking.
So how can people, hopefully people around the country saying this, around the world, how do they get a hold of you?
Huh.
For tours.
All like this.
You got
Yeah.
a website, obviously?
Yes, STL Specialty Tours, all one word, .com. We do not provide transportation.
If you have feet,
Yeah, but if it's, we do a car caravan, or if you got a busload of people, we ride the bus with you.
So as a parting shot here across the bow, why don't you each give us, why people would want to come here to the Hill that don't know anything about it?
It's one of the last Italian neighborhoods in the country that remain solidly Italian, and you feel that neighborly family feeling when you get here. You know, the ones in New York and Chicago and other places have kind of diluted now. And that's fine. That's the way most ethnic neighborhoods in America have gone. But not here. You still feel like you're in a place of Italian descent. About right? Sound right?
Exactly. Food Network magazine in 2017 featured 3 Italian neighborhoods.
That's right.
And Providence, Rhode Island, Boston, Massachusetts, and St. Louis. Another reason you want to come here that really is nice is our neighborhood Hill Center run by Lynn Marie. You come here, you see a lot of great history. A lot of great.
For example, this month they're highlighting our soccer history. St. Louis was a hotbed and capital de facto of soccer starting in the 30s, mid-30s, all the way through the 70s.
Was that Catholic high schools with soccer teams and that sort of thing?
And there was neighborhood
Neighborhood
teams.
Yeah.
Neighborhood teams.
Club teams.
And,
And these guys came from
sponsored
different
teams.
ones.
Okay.
And sponsored teams.
But they all got together. They all were asked to join the USA team to go and play. And
Is that Harry Key?
Harry Keyhole.
Yeah,
He was the only non-Italian from
Okay.
St. Louis there.
Okay.
There were 4 Italians from St. Louis, the most prominent, Frank Borghi, who was the goalie of the 1950 United States World Cup team that engineered the biggest upset in World Cup history by beating the top team in the world during a preliminary round, England, 1-0. There was a book written about it, and there was a movie made in 2004 about that.
We'll put the link up for that too.
I was in it.
Really?
Yes, I was in it.
You weren't.
I was
He was
in.
the soccer ball.
No. Thank you very much, Wilson. Anyway, here's a soccer ball. Thank you. They came to, and the producers and everybody did a little bit of a, whatever you take those when you ask for screen test and people to audition. And there were like 1,500 people came through Shaw School.
Yeah.
And you just brought your little resume. Yeah, we'll take you. So you can see my feet in a few of the shots.
Italian feet.
Yes, Italian
My
feet.
dad in there. And the funny thing, when doing the screen, what they call cattle call, that's what they call it in the genre, he made an announcement to the 1,500 people. I'm sorry, folks, anybody who does not look Italian here might as well just walk out.
And I still got my I show it on my tours when we do our tours. Yeah, I show my feet. I show them the ticket stub I still kept from the production of the game of their life. But that was named. The movie, though, came out as The Miracle Match. The great about that movie was 3 months was shot here, 3 months in New York and 3 months in Brazil. But they used different portions of the hill to do their shots. And they went to Charlie Gito. And they said, Charlie Gito, we want to use the front of your restaurant. We want to use it in the picture. Really? Yeah, we're going to make it look like a funeral parlor. And he,
That's right.
and he said, no, you're not.
So anyway,
Yeah.
thanks for your time.
Well, thank you.
Hey,
for inviting
no, you
us.
say grazie.
Grazie.
And we say prego no dago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Scusi? 3 words you want to remember, John. Scusi, grazie, prego. So when you go here, you remember that. If you forget about it, if you don't remember. Scusi. Excuse me, but you see.
Back in old Napoli, that's amore.
Thanks for watching. That's a good one. Oh, I didn't have it on.